Hey guys, Eric and Terry here to talk about the 100 Season 3 premiere.
It's back.
It's back. I'm only slightly obsessed with this show because I'm all obsessed with this show. So we're going to go to full spoilers for the premiere episode, just part one of the premiere episode that aired on January 21st. But full spoilers, you've been warned. Let's jump into this. What did you think? Picking up, obviously, in real life, it's been longer than it's been on the show, but it's still a few months later the show picks up.
It is a few months later, and I will say, I completely fell in love with this show in season 2. I thought what they did with the mountain men and everything that went on in Mount Weather was just so incredible, not what I expected when I saw the pilot for the first time. And I thought they really took it up a level in terms of the issues they were dealing with. And obviously that was something that built, but it was a very dark season. When we come back at the beginning, it's they're singing along to Violent Femmes in the RV. They're and there's that darkness there, but it felt like a bit of a lighter show. So and which is weird, right? Because they're still dealing with all those dark things. So for me, totally coming back into it, I was I expected it to still be that dark, but I do, thinking about it more, and having actually seen the first few episodes, which we won't get into now, I do like that shift, but I'm waiting this season for the great hook that is what Mount Weather was. And maybe it's just really hard to find something that is just such a perfect way to delve into the issues of humanity and what would you do in this situation and making hard choices that you can't come back from. I was expecting a little bit more of the City of Light, because I think that is a really interesting way to deal with some of those issues again. And I'm still waiting to see how that exactly plays out. I'm very curious about that storyline. But I was surprised a little bit that so much focus was on the arc and the piece, that very uneasy piece.
I guess I felt like it felt appropriate to me though, because this is the first time a lot of these characters have ever been together. I mean, if you think about Jasper and Monty were in Mount Weather the entire season 2, never interacted with the people from the arc, and even characters like Bellamy kind of stopped by the group at Camp Jaha and then left. So there is kind of a lot to show about what are they really kind of moving forward and kind of reestablishing the society. And I thought that the premiere, they definitely showed the fallout from season 2 as far as, especially I'd say with Clark, clearly, she's still off out there. As Eliza Taylor and I joked in an interview, she's kind of gone feral. Yeah. And then with Jasper, which I thought was really well done as far as just how messed up he is, and such a different character.
Yeah, I like that we do begin to see the cracks. I mean, with Jasper, he's just one big crack. But but with the other characters, we are seeing a little bit hints of, even if they do maybe seem like they have some of it together on the outside, they're still really suffering on the inside.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about that Violent Femmes scene, because it's so uncharacteristic for the show.
I know, I was like, what is happening?
It's
remember when we killed
they're
everyone
driving along. And they go, I loved it though.
Yeah.
I loved it for the I feel like it was basically showing this one moment where they could have fun, this very damaged group of people who've done horrible things, had horrible things done to them, seen horrible things. So there's this one moment of they're just kids driving in the car. But I don't think, obviously this is not what the show could be all the time, nor should it be, but I don't know. And I definitely did enjoy the song choice. It always makes me go down a huge rabbit hole about what pop culture survived.
I know, I was look at these kids, they have good taste.
That's right.
Even in the future, even after the apocalypse.
The one weird thing to me was the later scene. Oh God, am I gonna get even his name right? Because it's just not in my... Shawn Mendes? Is that the pop singer who played the piano in that scene?
Oh God, we're nerd culture. We aren't pop culture.
Right. But there was some people oh, they're bringing this pop singer that's terrible, but it's I know he's a big fan of the show and that's the only reason he ends up there. I was totally fine with that and how the scene played, because it ended up being actually a very dark scene where the fact that they've taken stuff from Mount Weather and how that affects Jasper.
Right.
The only thing that was really funny to me was it being the same Violent Femmes song. I was like, is this the only song that survived?
But maybe that makes more sense.
Is this a religious hymn to them?
Many people's iPods have survived. What did you think about the City of Light stuff? Because that was obviously one of the biggest cliffhangers at the end of season 2.
I was really intrigued by it. I mean, it's very funny because this was established last season, but right now it's Jaha and Murphy are so off on their own storyline. and at some point it has to intersect back, right? But it's been a while, so I'm still kind of waiting for that. But I liked it a lot. I liked Erica Serra a lot as Allie, and just like the strangeness of it. Not that the show hasn't had some Battlestar sort of feel in the past anyway, but it gives a little more because she's almost like number 6, you know, ethereal, beautiful woman in red who's not really there, and could be very ominous. But I like that. It's another swerve for the show, but I actually really like that the show never stays the same and keeps sort of
No,
moving.
I do too, and like that was a thing that I was like, oh, I can't, like maybe this will be like when Clark wakes up, you know, in Mount Weather at the beginning of season 2, and you're like, what is happening? I feel like the balance of the two storylines aren't quite there for me yet.
Right.
Obviously, they're going to have to come together in some way at the end of the season. I'm really intrigued about that happens, but I'm just like curious if there is, in fact, some like meta narrative that is tying what's happening at the Ark, and you know, with some of the other groups that we hear about that are out there, like the Ice Nation.
You mean
is
Arcadia?
Mentioned. Yeah. Oh, Arcadia. Sorry, Arcadia. And the City of Light. I mean, it seems like they're so powerful. Is there more manipulation going on than we realize, or are they really just off on their island doing their own thing?
Right.
Separate for now.
Is there already something Insidious happening?
Right.
Yeah. And then we should talk about Clark, of course, because, you know, I actually admire that they waited almost, I think, the half of the episode without her, and then you show her and just like what she's this legend now, and you know, just what she represents. And then she's out there, she's killing panthers.
Yeah.
she's hooking up with grounder chicks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I just like, you know.
Clark's had a rough time of it, but she's still a freaking badass. Like.
That's right. Yeah, I like the red hair. I think it's, you know, because that character has sort of gone to such crazy dark places and what she's done. I like kind of continuing on that thread with where she's, some would say, devolved to, but what she's become out there. And I really like the idea that she's like this sort of legendary figure right now. I mean, the 100 moves very fast, you know, both its backstory and what's happening. It's like characters make big moves quickly, but, you know, considering what she did, it makes sense within the grounder community that she'd make an impression. They've been talking about her, and the idea that everyone's after her and these bounty hunters are coming for her and one gets her, that I think is a cool, sort of interesting place to go.
Yeah.
What did you think of Roan? We only got to see a little bit of him, but
I just keep thinking of him from Black Sails, which is sort of funny. I'm ready to see more of him. But I think that he's an interesting addition, right? Like if you're going to cast new characters into the show, have them be very charismatic actors, like I think that he is. So yeah, I'm like trying not to say too much because we do know what happens a little bit with him. But I will say I really dig where that arc goes and what he has to do this season.
Yeah, I agree. And
like as vague as possible.
Lastly, I will say I feel sad for Raven because I always want Raven to be happy, and she never
Raven is never going to be happy. When will Raven get to be happy?
But I love her. She always gets a great entrance, though. Season 2 was flipping around and shooting the guy, and this one was coming out from under the RV.
Yeah.
Because Raven's awesome. And Octavia, I love where that character has gone from the pilot, from like the we're back bitches, I'm going to take off my clothes and go in the lake, to like girl on the horse and badass with the sword.
Yeah, and it really is funny just how much her and Lincoln have sort of inverted. Yeah. I mean, like he is now very much about wanting to get away from the grounders, and that's all. She's like, how can you forgive these people when those are technically her people?
Yeah.
So I think that that's really interesting, and also the challenges that means for their relationship. Like clearly, I guess no one can be happy on the 100.
It's hard.
Unless you're singing Violent Femmes.
You're playing the Violent Femmes, but even that's temporary. So that is our thoughts on the season premiere of The 100. We'll have plenty more to talk about this season. For all things The 100, keep it here at IGN.